Hello out there, Apple world. It's time to tell you all a little secret that I've been trying to get Apple to fix since I had my iPhone 5 that I discovered was hidden back from the iPhone 3S. And that is the iPhones are capable of streaming higher iTunes movies, but Apple has them locked on lower resolution capabilities of the iPhone and iPad. Let me explain. If you go into your settings to your TV, you'll notice that you have Wi-Fi, and if you have LTE like on your iPhone, you'll have an LTE option for streaming qualities and for downloading. Now you'll notice that there's two. It used to be good and best available, which is this is data savers now 720p and high quality is 1080p. And you can confirm this by whatever one you select and you download the movie into the device. If you connect your plug into your laptop and then scan your hard drive of the movie and go to the file information, you'll see if you download it under this setting and you look at the file information on your computer when this is acting like an external hard drive, that it installs 720p. If you do it while this one is selected, you'll notice that it says 1080p. So here's the kicker. I have the iPhone 12 Pro Max that I'm recording this video with that has a 4K camera and supports the 4K playback of that video. Now, if I go over to YouTube right now, you'll notice that I've strobed up a 4K video. And if you go over to the resolution options where you can select the quality of streaming, it just started, so it usually starts at high and goes up. But if you go to advanced and you look at the options of streaming capabilities, you'll notice that it has all the way from 1080p, 1440p, which is 2K, and 2160p, which is a 4K. So if I select it, it changes to that resolution and it supports that. Now that happens the exact same way on my iPhone 12 Pro Max. But yet if you'll notice, iTunes movies are stuck in HDR. You get to watch them in 720p HDR or 1080p HDR. However, you don't get to watch them in 2K or 4K when they have been converted to 4K, even though your device supports 2K and 4K, which I clearly show. YouTube is streaming 4K to this device. I'll go back to it again. I'll select it over, see advanced quality, 2160p. Select it again to show you all the options that you have, and it's selected. Now, usually the device will stop at the top camera's capability. So if you have an older iPad, it'll stop at 1080p. But that was the key, was on the older iPhones, before they gave us this switch, because for years I was complaining we did not have this file grab option, which says I want this file to 720p or grab 1080p. So originally all the devices were locked on 720p, but I figured out that I could sync a 1080p video into my iPhone 5 or iPhone 5 Plus. And what I would do is if I downloaded it over Wi-Fi, it would download the 720p file. If I downloaded over 1080p through syncing it, that's how I figured out the screen resolution just instantly doubled and the devices were capable of it, because the phone already had a 1080p camera. But everything else like YouTube and Netflix and everything else was locked on 720p. So finally, when Apple gave us this option of 720p and 1080p, which in earlier iOS versions was labeled good and best available, everything jumped to 4K capabilities, 4K camera, 4K supported, yet we're still locked in high dynamic range HDR. We're getting higher colors of 1080p or 720p, but we're not getting any more resolution capabilities, even though the device has a 4K camera on it and plays back that 4K video. So if you go into the camera on any one of the devices, on your iPhone or your iPad, and you go to record the video, if you have it record, let's say a 10 or 20 second video in each one of these selections, and then you watch those videos, you'll watch it as it says. It gets smoother and crisper and higher resolution as you go up the chain of the camera's capabilities. So it shows that it can record and supports playback at 4K 60 frames a second. Yet my TV high resolution is locked in 1080p maximum resolution on a 4K supported device. I can sync a 4K video into it with a laptop, but I do not have the ability to stream it or download it because Apple doesn't want users to know. When I contacted Tim Cook's office, I'd say when I had my iPhone 5S about 4 or 5 years ago, easy. I reported this on the Apple Communities Forum and on Reddit. They both suspended me, telling me it's not Apple related issue, like it was a third party app or something. I was like, wait a minute, it's iTunes app, it's iTunes movies, it's all your internal settings. And an engineer called me and wanted to know how I discovered that the devices were locked on 720p, even though they could support 1080p. And I showed him by syncing the files in each of the ways of over Wi-Fi, and then the other way of syncing it in. But you can't let your computer have access to the lower resolution file at that time. If you had the 1080p in there and you downloaded the 720p on your phone, and you would connect the cable into your device, the computer would jump up and say, iTunes has detected a purchase. Would you like to install it? If you do that, it installs right next to the 1080p file, and the next time you plug your iPhone or iPad in to sync the video into it, it would by default always sync in the lower 720p file because that's what it was authorized to use. But if you deleted the 720p file out of your computer, you could force the 1080p sync into the device. But what caused the problem is when you wanted to change movies, originally you would uncheck a movie, check a new movie, and hit sync, and it would delete that movie and change it. But because you were using a higher resolution video that it didn't recognize it was authorized to use, it would not uninstall that movie while then trying to force in a new install of the new movie, and would cause your storage to go over, and it would crash and say it couldn't complete it. So I would have to go in manually to the storage through the general, and then iPad or iPhone storage, go into the movies and then delete the movies manually by hand, go in, plug back to the computer, uncheck the movie that I had synced in 1080p and click sync without it in there, that I didn't want it, and it would clear it out and recognize that it wasn't in there. And then I could click the new 1080p video and then push the 1080p video into the device. Well, it wasn't long after I talked to the engineer, about a year, maybe two, that we've got these two options. But then at that point, it was too late because we had already jumped up to 4K. So Apple is still doing this on the new iPhones, even the new iPhone 13 and the new iPad. This is the latest iPad. And it is still locked on 1080p HDR. You got 720p or 1080p. Yet if you go, like I said, over to YouTube right now and hit play on a 4K video, you can go up to the quality resolution and look and see that the device is capable. So I've been submitting requests to Apple to fix this, and maybe others can do it. But I said, if they can't figure out how to do it, I said, maybe you guys should just call YouTube, because they've already doing it on your devices and are making you guys look like a bunch of idiots. So I don't understand how Apple even gets paid for this kind of stupidity, Babytown frolics, but I just wanted everybody to know that Apple's been hiding this for a long, long time, and I think everybody needs to start getting this video out and pushing it out, that Apple's hiding stuff from users, because you guys are getting ripped off. We all are getting ripped off. The devices are capable of higher resolution on the screen, crisper. Yes, the videos do use more storage, but I've got a 2 terabyte hard drive iPad and a 512 gigabyte iPhone 12 Pro Max. That's more than enough to store a 4K movie into it, but I have to sync it or push it in. However, now I can't because laptop crashed and I didn't go buy another one, and I don't need to buy another one when these pretty much do everything a laptop will do, except I don't need to go buy a laptop just to sync a 4K video into my device when I can stream it already on YouTube, but Apple doesn't want to get up with the game and keep up with its promise that it provides the best quality products out there. Apple, you're a joke. Leave a comment and let me know what you think. And if you got any older iPhones, you can, now that you have the button, you can select which file grab option you want through the TV app. So you can thank me for that. But like I said, they've fallen behind. And if they would just properly label it 720p, 1080p, and then 1440p and 2160p, it wouldn't be so ridiculous. But this is what's funny is I said, well, since you labeled it this, I said, if you did add 1440p and 2160p, I said, what are you going to call it? Faster downloads, high quality, better than high quality, and better than best high quality? I was like, just stop screwing around and trying to hide it from users and just label it what it actually is. This is 720p HDR and this is 1080p HDR on a 4K supported device. So, Apple, get your shit together.